What up? What up? I don't even feel like doing it this week. I got one more. What up, Moody? What's up?
What's not much, not much. As I got my sister and her friend up here visiting us, so just spending time with, the sibling. They want to be in their, hot girl like winter. Because it's definitely still cold up here.
It,
But
it,
yeah, just
it's
came up for the
it's
weekend.
it's like seesawing a bit.
Yeah, we're right on the
We've had
seesaw.
some days where it's like I've been out in shorts,
Yeah,
and I'm
for
like,
sure.
this is nice. And so officially, spring starts in what 6 days?
Oh, is it that soon? Okay, I thought it
March
was. I thought it
21st,
had like
right?
2 weeks. Okay.
March 21st is the official first day of spring, or maybe 22nd. I'm not sure, but 21st is usually the day.
Just hurry up and
Uh,
warm up. I don't give a damn.
yeah,
Just hurry up.
exactly.
Well,
Let's
let me
get
just.
into these.
Yeah,
First,
the
go ahead.
Percy's. Yeah. No, I was just
Yeah,
gonna get
first.
mine off my chest. Is that because I told you wake me when the season starts basically.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, I have not dug into any. I have not sought out any Jaguars off-season moves or anything like that, right? But this was like a Sports Center ticker like moment, basically, right? Where I
Mm-hmm.
was watching some clip on ESPN, and literally it was a Sports Center clip, and then I just saw on the bottom that De'Ami Brown had signed, and I literally haven't even thought about it past the point of my immediate reaction, which was, oh well, let me bring this on because he was just on the Commanders, and you literally gave me a whole fucking description of De'Ami Brown. So this is really more so, I guess, an alley oop for you, which I thought it was interesting because I was like, oh yeah, we coming in on some like twisted topics, with you with the basketball, me with the football. Considering I don't
Yeah,
really care right now, but hearing 1 year, $10 million.
fully guaranteed.
Yeah, go ahead, Samson, because I was like,
I
curious.
mean, I would like to have Diami back, but I mean, at that price, I'm like, I can't blame him. Go get your money. But like I told you, like I always say, like Diami, especially between me and you, has a special connection to us for the fact that when we were playing Madden,
Yeah,
you had drafted him in your connected franchise, and he was a hidden,
it's full circle. This is
potential
so
or
crazy.
whatever.
Yeah,
And then that
yep.
made me draft him when we had restarted the franchise and I was with the Raiders. And then he eventually gets drafted to the Commanders in real life. And now he's on the Jags. And so it's like, this guy
That's
is like our
weird.
son. De'Ami Brown is our
How?
son.
From
We're
like
like proud parents.
we drafted. I drafted him before he was in the league. Like this is what 2018. We were playing that Madden
Yeah.
league. So that's wild. That like yeah, this really is. I didn't even think about that. So that really is like a full circle kind of moment.
This
But
guy, like, we're proud parents, man. Yeah, you should
yes,
be
we
proud of
manifested it.
De'Ami for this. But I say that the fact, again, I told you, De'Ami, he had his best season his last year.
Mm-hmm.
And his best time of his season was the playoff games that everyone saw.
Yeah.
And that's in a 4-year career. And part of it, you have to say, like, it's not his fault because it's because of who we were as an organization and what the things that we couldn't just get out of ourselves correctly. But at the end of the day, sometimes talent just shows. Because Terry was a 3rd-round pick, and he was, and you could see that he was beast game 1.
Yeah, he's a dog. And really,
And
what came
so,
to my mind was like, I'm not even sure if he's better than Parker Washington because, like you said, explaining De'Ami Brown's career to me, I'm like, I'm not even sure if he's better than Parker Washington, who was already the backup for Christian Kirk. You know what I'm saying? So, like, hearing 1 year, 10 million, I'm like, for
if
a
you ever
depth
plan for
guy,
De'Ami, he's good because like I think he's definitely added to his game over time, and
yeah,
like he's a little bit more developed than what he was when he came out of college. He's really good at running with the ball after catch, especially on like screens
hmm
and whatnot. Um, Still fast. He could still get over top of you and kind of beat you. And so, um,
hopefully Liam Cohen comes up
it's
with the
not that
team.
bad of a
So,
deal. I mean, it's the fact that it's fully guaranteed. Okay, sure, but again, you're paying for wide receivers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't mind it because it's not that bad. You could have been paying a lot worse. Like, would you have paid Cooper Cup what he got
I
paid?
would have. I would have, yeah. I mean, are we talking about like actually signing a receiver, because I wasn't even thinking about signing a receiver. I was thinking more so in the draft. We already got Brian Thomas, and Gabe Davis is locked up for this year anyway. And like I said, for me, I was straight with just Parker Washington starting. So I'm like, hey, just draft another guy in like 3rd round, 4th round if you want to. But getting 1 year, like you said, it's not that bad. It's only 1 year. But I was just like, okay, 10 mil. All right.
It means that he's just going to be on the team.
Yeah. Well, that's all I wanted to say. But that was the Sunday Percy for me. Interesting, like you said, full circle moment. That's what it really should have been. Our son.
That's our son, man. Diami's got a special place for us, just for that interesting piece of history. The fact, you imagine the fact that he's been on both of our teams. Mm-hmm. That's the only things that he's done in our careers. Has been a Washington Commander and then now become a Jacksonville Jaguar. After being initially a Jacksonville Jaguar, and then I wasn't playing as the Commanders at the time. I was playing as the Raiders.
But yeah,
being a Raider, being in my possession as a character in the game. That's wild.
Makes me want to check up on Rondale Moore, because I had him too, and he was also so I'm like, yeah. I know he went to the Cardinals. I don't know what he's doing, but either way, that was my Percy. What you got?
I got this conversation on Cooper Flag because as a Wizards fan, we've been playing well since the All-Star break. A little too well at times. You know, like I'm like, all right, cool. I'm glad these games are close, but like sometimes we'll be leading it in the 4th with like 8 minutes to go. I'm like, all right, y'all, good game. Now lose it. You know what I'm saying? Right. But no, they've been playing extremely well and they've been competitive. It's literally what I've asked for them to do the entire season. But now we're getting to a point where we might be playing ourselves out of a top 3 pick if we win a couple more games. But there is news coming out that Cooper Flag was possibly deciding on returning to Duke for a second season. Then a couple of days after that, a couple nights ago, I forget who they were playing against, but Cooper Flag hurts his ankle.
Yeah.
And so you might be a little bit more in the aware of this. So you got to keep me up to date on like the span of like these photos that I'm about to explain. So, or these visuals. So there was one visual I saw him getting help to the back. Right. Okay. Then there was another visual of him walking gingerly from the back towards the court. Then there was another visual of him in a wheelchair.
Okay.
Where did the wheelchair come in? Is that like the last pick?
I think that's a Paul Pierce moment, maybe. I actually didn't. I wasn't watching this game, so I don't know in what context. But I would imagine, as you're describing this, that like you are escalating the pain level. So I guess I would imagine that the wheelchair came last, probably. Yeah. You know, after being helped off the court and everything. But
he didn't play last night against UNC, and he's not going to play again in the ACC final. Mm-hmm. But I say that all to say that if Cooper Flag, I keep saying Cooper Cup because we just talked about Cooper Cup. Yeah. Cooper Flag decides to go back as a Wizards fan, and if we are able to keep a top 3 and even just get the top pick overall, I have no problem deciding between Ace Bailey or Dylan Harper. Because we need either one of those positions as well. I'd rather take the point guard. I'd rather take the point guard. I think that's Ace Bailey. That's the point.
Yeah, Ace Bailey. Or is
that or that might be Dylan Harper because Dylan Harper is Ron Harper's son.
Yeah.
But either way,
him up right now.
Either way, they're both on the same team. They're on Rutgers, which is wild. Either way, I have no problem with that because it's going to be hard next year because right now Bilal Coulibaly's out for 4 to 6 weeks, which is like, damn, that sucks. I wish Bilal could play. But I'm like, man, if Bilal's playing, we're probably winning a lot more games than we need to be. So Bilal's already shown enough that I'm like, bro, you good. Get you a break.
Yeah. Dylan Harper actually is a point. You're right. He's 6'5" or 6'6" point.
Yeah. Okay, I figured because I'm like, his dad is Ron Harper, and Ron Harper is a point. So I'm like,
yeah. And Cooper Flag is listed a 2-3 shooting guard forward.
Okay, but yeah, either way. There's still a way to get Ace Bailey or Dylan Harper and then Cooper Flag the following year.
Oh yeah. Oh, if you're talking about if he returns, hey, that'd be super fire. Just to your first point, I looked up the standings. Y'all are not in danger of dropping like one of the top 4 picks. Y'all are not in danger of that. Y'all still only got 14 wins. So yeah, that would be fire if he actually does return and like y'all are able to like, at least get one. In this case, you would need to nail one of the top 2 picks. So now you got a 50-50 chance amongst the top 4. You know what I'm saying? So you at least need to get one of those 2. And yeah, you back in the situation with Cooper Flag coming out next year if he does return.
I feel like we might be too good though to be in the top 5 to be in the top pick again. We would have to like extremely win the lottery. Like,
yeah, I mean, if Ace is, or I mean, if Dylan Harper can actually organize your offense, which is really what you need more than anything. If he's a fucking super like a Cade Cunningham, because Cade is fucking electric. There's no doubt that he was the number 1 pick from when him and Jalen came out. Yeah, you're gonna be too good if you get him. However, I mean, those 6'6" like point guards, they don't come around all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at Shea. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the bigger points that actually can run point, like bring the ball up the court. I mean, Ben Simmons is 6'10", but he was actually doing that for a bit before he fell apart. You know what I'm saying? That's something completely different when you have an actual big body guard that is a feature in your offense. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's a point to you there. Because once again, after the Pistons actually tried to be good like this season, just sign, like Tobias Harris and just other vet like type of guys. And you got Cade healthy. This man is 26-9-6, I'm pretty sure right now, or 26-9-5. Like Jesus Christ. So granted, I'm not expecting that rookie year, but shit, Dylan Harper could give that to you like maybe year 3. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or maybe he is like
or Ace. Ace could be the 2 on there and have Jordan. He's
a power forward. He's a power forward.
He's a power forward. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I thought he was a 2,
6'10".
but either way, we'll talk more about this off the pod. Let's get it started.
Doors opening. Step back to allow customers to exit.
And to the crowd, Mr. Habasha Hayes, Samson, you're my tag team partner.
The French fried bro, Moody, coming off the top rope. And this is the Wrestling Rhea podcast.
A weekly stroll through the avenue of wrestling.
Do all the algorithm engagement things for us. Give us a like, comment, subscribe, and a follow on this YouTube channel. TikTok, Instagram, everything at the Wrestling Rhea.
I had so much trouble trying to unmute myself for that intro.
Oh yeah,
because it's like one button on my mouse because it's like one of these Apple mouses, and so every time I clicked it, it was right clicking instead of just turning, toggling the mic. So I was like, that's why I was a little delayed coming in. What's good, everyone? Episode 36 of the Wrestling Rhea podcast. It is I, the Habasha Hayes Samson, here with my tag team partner Moody, the French fry fro, and we are here to talk about everything that's happened in the week of wrestling, including and starting with AEW Revolution, which was a great pay-per-view. I watched the entire thing. It was really great. Not a really bad match in the entire card. Again, they have old school WWE cards where there's about like 10 matches on here. It's like, man, but nothing felt too exhausting here. You got your money's worth. And for the first time, I'm on a streak.
Yeah,
I'm officially on a streak, a 2-win streak.
Let's circle back real quick. This is the Jerome Bettis episode.
Sean Taylor.
You know what I'm saying?
Sean Taylor, first number in the NFL.
Rasheed Wallace, also Rasheed Wallace. But yeah, Wallace. You got 2 in a row. Let me start with this one because you got 2 in a row, and this is the one time where I'll be like, I definitely didn't give it to you, but you talked me out of my winning lineup. That's just what happened, and because even flipping me on Ricochet. Remember, I had Swerve in there at first, and I was like, you know what? He did say he's coming here to like actually be in the main event and shit. So you got me there. Granted, that was a draw because you also picked Ricochet, but I'm like, if I would have picked Swerve, that's a push up. And then also, I definitely had MJF, so that was just a L. But the Takeshita, like giving you all the context, like that was just my heart. You know what I'm saying? So in that aspect, I gave it to you because I was like, hey, let's just stretch this out a little bit. You know, just one more pay-per-view. But if I just would have went with what I known like is happening, because I told you that, I was just like, yeah, they're about to unify the championships, probably at All In. So let them have another lengthy, pretty
I heard
lengthy
that
title
too.
reign.
I heard that coming in. Like, I didn't know the full context of it, but I mean, like, it would make sense. But
Yeah.
either way,
I'm just saying,
doesn't matter.
I'm just giving you context. That's all. And this is the first time, like I said, you should be proud because I did not give it to you, but you talked me out of it. like low key. If I just went with,
and that wasn't even intentional.
If I just went with everything that I had in my head, 9-1. This is or 8-1, like you. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's all. But continue.
But
yeah,
you listen to me. You listen to me. I didn't ask you to listen to me, but
hey, reverse psychology. You know what I'm saying? I just like your booking. You can't help but fantasy book. You know what I'm saying? We're fans. Yeah. So I don't blame you for it.
Great card. What was your favorite match on here? What would you rate?
What do you think my favorite match on here was? I'll give you one guess. What was my favorite match on here?
Tony and Mariah.
You goddamn right it was. And this is where I would say, because I know we didn't have the ranking here right in the Notion doc, but I feel like this is a razor's edge, like onto top shelf. Like it's not top shelf, but it's as close as you can be. And really, like you said, because there wasn't a bad match on the entire card. The fact that Toni Storm and Mariah did not close the entire show is a crime. Because I'm a Toni Storm stan, dog. Like she can do no wrong. Like epic shot. You want to talk like people want to talk about cinema? This is the most cinema we've ever gotten in AEW. This is the best rivalry they've ever had. I've been beeping that horn for a while now. Men's or women's. You know what I'm saying? Especially like long-term storytelling. This has been a year and a half. This has been happening. There has not been another storyline like that. You know what I'm saying? Where both women or both people are actually healthy, engaged, and just carrying this story. You know what I'm saying? But like for us to have the full circle moment, Mariah running up the ramp and Toni stomping on the back of her head into the title, whipping her ass the same way Mariah did when she turned on her, which caused our first scandal on this. I think it was episode 2 when I put Primo Dential up there, or when I was really just trying to say top shelf more than anything. Was Mariah's turn on her. She beats the shit out of her. We get the shoe again. We get all that. Storm Zero through the table on the stage, and they die in each other's arms. The end. Like, come on. Like that's what I'm talking about. That's two characters just carrying
ending.
You said what?
I said they talked about a Hollywood ending.
Exactly. Like that is women carrying a story and a division for real. Like Jesus Christ. But
that's why I said like our grades are independent, and like I'm not gonna like I might like question or debate. I'm not trying to force you. If you want to put something there, you want to put something there. But that's why for me, I tend to put things at like mid or a primo and not give it quite yet. And not to say it's not there. If it's there, I'll give it its props. But a lot of times I'm like, all right, it's like, okay, we're moving somewhere. So like, let's see where they actually go, because again, you don't want to be like, okay, yeah, this is top shelf all the time. Like, it's like, nah, I know there's the more's coming. So it's like,
this is the razor's edge of primo to top shelf for me, because
if you like I said, you can put it top shelf if you felt like that.
I don't want to. That's me. I'm putting it at the top of primo. Like, you're not changing my mind. I'm saying
I'm not,
like, because Toni didn't close, because that's a crime, honestly.
Yeah.
And the flatness of the main event, which ended up being Moxley, Cope, and a cash in from Christian. Nah, dog. Much rather give Toni and Mariah 5 more minutes, because that was a 15-minute match they had. They did all that in 15 minutes. Give them 5 more minutes, 20-minute match, close the show. The end. That's literally the walk away. They put the end up there, and then you give me a pulse pounding Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher steel cage directly after that. It's like, great match once again. I just felt like the organization of the card was messed up. That's all.
The Swerve and Ricochet match. I understand Swerve winning. I have no problem with the outcome of this match. Am I wrong to think that like Swerve was more of the heel in this situation? Swerve and Nana are more of the heels in this situation.
I would say so. Yeah. I mean, Ricochet was actively being a dick the entire time, and has been. So
But I'm saying, like, I guess you're saying that it was warranted for them to use these underhanded tactics to win.
Of course. And Swerve, I mean, I think he's one of those guys that he'll do anything to win regardless. Like, we just cheer him, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I think him and Hangman are both at that point where it's like, they're at the tweener, like, badass. Like, this is a CZW guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just saw this rivalry got started with him getting stabbed in the forehead with golden scissors. You know what I'm saying? So he's catching up, honestly, in the essence of this rivalry. Like, Ricochet's already got him twice. So, yeah, it was warranted.
I wish it was a little cleaner. That's all. Yeah. I thought when Swerve kind of pushed Nana and he had left, I thought that was the it. And I thought,
right.
And so for him to come back and then I'm like, what was the point?
Active, like, not like that. Usually he never like interferes in a match. So like the fact that he does, you're right. That does stand out. Really, that just got my gears turning on, like, because obviously there's so many people who are tired of like the Death Rider story or lack of story, depending how you look at it. And with Swerve winning, it's like, are we about to like rip the Band-Aid off of this? But I think you really got to serve up, because Swerve still hasn't challenged him for the title yet. So I think Swerve is honestly being positioned just to like enhance Moxley, but he's also one of those guys. Like I said, him, Hangman, and Ospreay right now are all like, you're going to cheer them regardless, no matter what they do.
And there was some interesting conversations that MVP had with MJF. We'll get to on Dynamite when we get to the boutique, to the coffee shop.
Yeah, very much so. But I think I was like, will Moxley actually lose it? Because obviously a lot of people, we're gonna be behind Swerve to win this match. You know what I'm saying? Whenever when it comes up. So we'll see how it goes, how that story builds. But let's run through a quick bit of this. The Hurt Syndicate, they retained like in a squash match, like they should have, against the Outrunners. Thank God. Moxley, once again, as we said before, he retains. And I thought the match was going great, honestly, between him and just Cope, straight up. Like, they just doing a straight up slugfest of just like beating the shit out of each other with like the elbow strikes. It was just like 97 elbow strikes just to start the match. You know what I'm saying? I just thought that you're already wearing each other down and taking us into like very quickly taking us into the I guess what would be second round, you know what I'm saying, or second phase of the match without actually being too pulse pounding. I mean, they are older guys, you know what I'm saying? It's not like you need the whole like Will Ospreay standoff spots, you know what I'm saying, with all the flippy dippy stuff, and then that's the end of phase one. You know what I'm saying? This was just a slugfest at first. And then did you actually believe at a point when we get Cope hitting Moxley for the third time with a spear, did you think he was going to win?
No.
Because right before Christian pulls the ref out? No, you didn't think so?
No, I mean,
that's the closest. I
guess you could. I guess like that'd be the most like that'd be the highest point. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
but I just feel I feel like Moxley has this kind of he's a kick out guy. He's a kick out king.
Yeah. 2.999 guy.
Yeah, like it's just like, okay, like he seems indestructible, you know. At least that's how I kind of play it out in my mind. That I'm like, he's kind of got like that Romanness to him, where it's like you think he's got him, but it's like, nope, last second, I'm gonna get my shoulder up. So, I mean, it's fun. I didn't even know this until after the fact, but they said that I think it's Adam Copeland, Edge, Cope, whoever you want to categorize him as. His last, I think 8 losses were never clean, or he wasn't the one pinned.
Okay.
Like, it was always like some type of shenanigans. Like it'd be a 3-way and like the other person would get pinned, or he would get like it'd always be something. It would never. There was never a clean. He hasn't had a clean loss since he's returned. To wrestling.
So we're ongoing protecting him for some reason when you should be protecting, I would say, a younger guy. But yeah, I hear that. That's interesting. Like you bring that. I didn't know that either. But
again, I didn't know that going into the match. That's after the fact. So that has nothing to. But it is an interesting thing to note.
And lastly, I mean, Mercedes, she of course like retained against Momo Watanabe, and Okada retained versus Brody King. Anything? No, I think that's for the most part. Obviously, Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher was amazing. You had the run in with like Mark Davis bringing in weapons and stuff like that, which I remember I was listening to Wrestle Talk and they were like, it's the funniest thing how like, you know, this guy comes up to the ring and is like, when he gets hit like one time, and then the next time you see him, he's just Crimson Mask, and it's like, yo, you're the running guy. Like, how did you get busted open like with one hit? That's kind of crazy. But yeah, he did a crazy blade job too. But
and they hit the Spanish fly off the top of the cage.
Oh my god, yeah, that was that's definitely spot of the night for sure. Where it's like, ugh.
I don't even blame him for not even like getting the full rotation. I'm like, just do something safe. Just be safe.
Yeah. Because he really turned that on his end. He kind of turned that into a whisper in the wind. You know, he just lands more so on his side hip because I'd much rather him land on his back too. Yeah. But it was just like, whoo. Yeah, hope you're all right. But yeah, they fine. They sold it on TV, all the bumps and bruises. But that was AEW Revolution. Congratulations on your streak.
Let's see if I can keep it up, whatever the next pop-up show is. Let's head into this flagship store of Monday Night Raw. And the biggest thing that we want to talk about here, which we both had primos, was the Io Bianca Rhea promo segment. You had Io slapping the shit out of both.
This was bittersweet for me as a whole because I understand the story. It's just like, the Reggie on this, because I put this in Reggie also. So I said it's bittersweet. The disrespect to Io, like I understand the storyline, but it not just that, but also her just throwing a temper tantrum, like literally like a child, stomping in the middle of the ring and stuff. She was jumping up and down and stomping. Like after they mushed her, she did.
Okay.
She slapped them both.
Okay.
Then she started jumping up and down and was like, I'm the champion. I'm the champion. Like the champion shouldn't have to remind you of that. And obviously just there's nothing more disrespectful in the Black community than a straight up mush to somebody's face. Like, they didn't even slap her. They like said, get out of here. You ain't on our level, basically type shit. Like the big girls are talking. That's exactly what happened. And I'm like,
call that out. Elimination Chamber.
Nuts. That is nuts to do this to her. Like,
I think that's the exact. I think if I told you she's winning at WrestleMania. She's winning.
We both said that. I was like, because if that happens, they need to neutralize each other. You know what I'm saying? There's no way.
Isn't this the type of feeling that you want? Because because I was even watching that segment. I was like, first of all, I called this out in Elimination Chamber after Bianca won, and they had that stare down at the top of the ramp. Io was out there before she was even champion, but Rhea and Bianca were both just staring at daggers at each other. They weren't even looking at Io. And then even with Io with the championship, they still looking daggers at each other. And I'm like, this is what you kind of want in a sense where it's like everybody else knows because after she did all that shit, everybody was saying Io was chanting Io. Yeah, because everybody felt the same thing. It's like, how you gonna disrespect the champion?
I hate the
champion. This the champ.
I hate the thought.
Apparently Rhea's never even beaten Io before.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
she has 0-4 against Io. Yeah.
And so it's like, how you even have the nerve to even just look past her when you haven't even got a win on her.
And that's the one thing that's like slightly bothering me because really it should be all about like WrestleMania, that WrestleMania moment. I hope that feeling we get should be Io's vindication between the three of them.
In both of them.
However, That's sick. Now we're talking about pinning both of them. I think that's some real comeuppance. Now that's a shot call right there.
Yeah.
But I don't want it to end up being like, once again, she's the third wheel, because that's literally is the storyline right now. So that WrestleMania moment cannot be her third wheeling win out of this. You know what I'm saying? It has to be definitive, I would say. So that's what bothered me the most. And I'm caping for them. Like I said, somebody got to stick up for our foreign born, specifically Japanese international wrestlers.
I think she gonna do it, bro. Like again, I said it last week. There's no reason to have Bianca and Rhea for 6 weeks. That's a year-long story that we can get next year at New Orleans.
Yeah, that's crazy. Mushing Mio in the face, yeah. Well, it was. I ain't gonna lie. The visual was funny too, though. Like when Bianca did it, it was literally like the whole palming of the face, like literally like a child. So it was funny, and I'm like, nah, you can't do that. Like it's crazy. But
I wish I instead of slapping, we need to get rid of slapping, both in the men's and the women's situations. I wish there was more. Just like this is the time where a super kick would have been great.
I think slapping can stay for the men because that's still like the core of disrespect. But yeah, I think it needs to go for the women because it's so used so oftenly. But like for men to slap each other, that's the classic. I challenge you to a duel. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When Logan Paul slapped CM Punk, he ran out of that ring. That's exactly because he knew it was about to happen. So, but yeah,
I like Drew McIntyre's. What's the one where you like hit you with his head? What's that called? I forget. I'm blanking on the name. The Glasgow kiss. That like I know EO doesn't have something like that, but if that was more of like a thing that people did, like that, like she Glasgow kiss fucking Rhea Ripley and then super kicks and then Bianca, I'm like that would have been dope.
But yeah, a super kick is appropriate for the women's division. I like that call for a substitution. Take the slaps out, make those super kicks. Because the super kick has already been muted completely. It might as well just be that. So talk about stuff we called in the mids. We agree on this. You called it. El Gringo Swolo, taking the name that I gave him, attacks Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, you're good at giving out names. Powerpuff, what was it? Powerbuff Girls.
Power Blow Girls.
Yeah.
Which is Naomi and Bianca. And you got El Gringo Swolo. Gracias. So which I was like with the thickest white American accent, like screaming it. But because this was actually during the New Day, or I think this is Xavier Woods specifically versus Rey Mysterio match. And yeah, El Gringo Swolo, or that's what I called him, appears in a hood, even though he shouldn't be, because that is an American blazoned. I think that's the closest to like Ray Phoenix, which is funny because we also did get a teaser for Phoenix in this later in the week. But did you like the mask? It was like, I think it was so bad, but bad in a good way. Like,
oh yeah, I mean, it kind of looked like an updated version of the joint Hulk Hogan wore.
Oh yeah, when he was a Mr. America.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, just updated to be like a more of a lucha mask.
Yeah,
and it's gonna sell. It's gonna sell. I'm just curious. Is how offensive are they gonna be? Like, they're not gonna be Attitude Era offensive.
No.
When do you remember when Edge and Christian were where were they? They were like the Los Luchadors or something like that.
Oh yeah. They were like just completely covered. Yeah, I remember
and they were like gracias, and like they were just like so offensive, like in the way they were like trying to like pretend to be Spanish.
Right.
But I feel like Chad Gable knows like is a multilingualist, and he probably knows Spanish fluently.
And speaking of stuff we called out, I was like, yo, literally, what's the first move he does when he attacks Ray? He hits him with the bullshit. He gets one of those, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, this is maybe a 2 or a 3 of a Hurricane Rana, like jumping from the crowd, hitting Ray with a Hurricane Rana. That was the only Hurricane Rana I've seen kind of worse than that was like when Nia hit Bailey with it in SummerSlam. Like that was a bad Hurricane Rana.
Hey, sometimes I don't let stick. Chad can hit it.
He can, like I said, I think it was just a matter that it was a jumping one and not a like running in transition. I lift you up kind of, Hurricane Rana. But
we both have this as I'm guessing mid rising.
Yeah, if anything, just because they add the intrigue at the end when Kathy is like interviewing him later in the show, and
Mhm.
you attacked Ray Mysterio, and he's like, "No, I didn't." And then, sure enough, you see El Gringo Swallow in the background being arrested in the background shot of that interview, and he's like, "See, I think you owe somebody an apology." So I wonder if he'll appear again. I hope he does. It'd
It's not
be
Chad
crazy.
Gable. Who could it
It's
be?
I don't know. Maybe actually did revive El Generico, and it's like this is El Generico's like revived self that he's like trying to keep a mystery. I don't know.
El
That would be
Generico's
like
son.
that would be like Lucha Underground storyline. Like that would be the telenovela. Like,
This is no El Generico.
I
This is El
just
Generico's son.
yeah, I was like, he survived in the burning fire, or I survived. He saved me. But the other, do you have any more for that?
No.
Yeah, yeah. The other men that I had was Dom must have a silver tongue with Adam Pierce, and for him to like the Judgment Day are classically in their hangout spot in their clubhouse, and Finn is still ornery. He's still being an ornery old man, and like Dom is like, "Hey, chill out, bro. Like, I talked to Adam Pierce, and I got you a match next week for the IC title." And I could have sworn I was like, "Is this the second time that this has happened?" But it's not that. It's just that the Judgment Day has always been getting like IC title matches for each other, like when Damian was still there, and then Finn got it for Damian, or and all that type of stuff. So I was like, okay, I got confused with that. But either way, I don't know how many times like we've had a direct Dominic and Adam Pierce discussion when it's not Adam Pierce being like, well, guess what? You got a match tonight, because he's putting him in check, right? So my thought was Dominic usurping Finn, basically, in the Judgment Day. Because even the way that Finn clung to him, like after he tells him he got him the match, Finn grabs a hold of Dominic like that was his dad. Like, thanks so much. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, oh shit, Dom is he looks like he's the leader of the Judgment Day to me. Or at least that's a story that we're gonna get, because I think that's kind of cooked as a storyline for the Judgment Day, because their whole ethos has been there is no leaders, which obviously is going to like lead to storyline difficulties. So I guess I'm looking forward to see like Dominic come out the other side of this. What does the Judgment Day look like? I mean, we're gonna have that match at some point in time for sure. But at least that this segment put that thought in my head. Dominic as the lead.
I think whatever happens is going to end the same way of Damian Priest. They just gonna jump that nigga in the match.
Yeah, until we get tired of it. And then
No, I'm just saying, like, they're gonna give him whatever championship. Like, Dominic is gonna be like, cordial to him the entire time. Oh yeah, I got you a title. I got Adam Pierce to give you a title match or a number one contendership match, and they'll help him out, and this, that, and the third, and then it'll be that night. They'll go through the championship match, and then Dominic Mysterio and Carlito and whomever. I don't think he'll get JD McDonough, because JD would probably be on Finn's side unless he just doesn't have any allegiances as well.
Yeah, that's crazy if JD flips.
They just gonna jump him, and then they gonna cost him just like they cost Damian Priest.
Just turn on him. I mean, he has been kind of an asshole. Like, he's been complaining a lot too, like Finn recently. So it's like Dom could be like, man, I'm getting tired of this shit. Like,
old ass man, why you hanging around a bunch of 20-year-olds?
Right.
You too, Carlito.
Right? Yeah. You got some shake or Reggie, whichever one.
Yeah, I got. Well, both of them are pretty quick. I'm not gonna expound on my shake my Reggie too much. My Reggie, the entire Logan Paul Andrew Schultz segment. Just Reggie.
Yeah. Just regular
Logan
celebrity
Paul
guest stuff. Yeah.
He's just like, come to your city and just get city pop heat, even though like we're giving him real heat, and he's like just saying shit for like city pop heat, but he can't even speak. Like, we literally can't speak, and it's not even like Dominic Mysterio can't speak. It was like, no, nigga, shut up. We don't want to hear you speak. And then they got to bring in like these celebrities, for one reason or another, regardless if it was Schultz or not, just to kind of allow him to kind of get through a promo. And so I'm like, to me, it is what Logan Paul is. He's just there to, for the cross media promotion. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and that's been his character completely, like him talking about going viral all the time and like his influence and stuff. So the way to show that is obviously with just all these celebrities coming to it. So that does work for his character. But I think you're right in just saying like he couldn't even get through the promo, not because we wasn't letting him, but he can't talk anyway. And Phelps was better than Logan Paul in this segment. Like,
I mean, yeah.
Like, so that's what stuck out to me. That I remember having the thought of like putting this in Shake, but I was just like, because this is, I mean, Andrew Schultz plays face, in this segment, and for me, Schultz has been cooked for a while now, like at least 3 years. Like he had his time in the sun, and it's like, all right, I haven't listened to the pod in forever, but I'm like, this is the best thing that Schultz has done since I stopped listening to him, like forever ago. So I was like, oh, okay, look at that. But of course, he just has a comedy special coming out on Netflix. We on Netflix now. It makes sense. So cross promotion, like you said.
And then my Shake, late afternoon Raw next week, this coming Monday. They're doing a European tour. And so, SmackDown was in Barcelona. So what we watched was pre-tape because we don't have Netflix. SmackDown's not on Netflix. But Raw is on Netflix. And Raw, if you want to watch it live, will be on at 3 p.m. Eastern. It's kind of dope. That you'll still be able to watch it technically like pre-taped, but it's like you could watch it live if you want Raw at 3 p.m. And I'm like, that's kind of dope. That's kind of dope.
And that threw me off that, obviously they are on their European tour, like you said, and like SmackDown, they were in Barcelona yesterday. And I opened, YouTube, and it's like they already got the results up. And this was like 5 o'clock. Yeah. I was like, oh shit. Oh, okay. And that's what like let me know. I'm like, oh, they're in Europe right now. Okay, cool. But yeah, the convenience of that is pretty interesting. And like, this is similar to like when I think about like when the East Coast people come to the West Coast and you realize you're like, oh shit, I can just like wake up in the morning and watch football on Sunday. I don't have to like wait until, 11 o'clock or whatever. It's like literally 8 a.m. And it's like, you don't have to care about that because that's all the East Coast stuff. If you live on the West Coast, your team is on the West. So you ain't starting until what would be, 4:30 our time, 1:30 there.
Yeah.
So
I would just move to the West Coast just for that.
Yeah, you said that before. I tell you, there is a level of convenience about it.
The mountain time is the best. Is the best for sports.
I could believe that. Yeah, 2 hours behind the East Coast, 1 in front of the West Coast. That probably is the best, actually.
So, like a 1 o'clock game starts at what 10 instead of 9.
It'd be 11.
Or it'd be 11.
11 instead of 10. Yeah,
instead of 10. That's a good start time.
Yeah. Because I can still sleep in. Basically, that's
sleep in. Like, I usually like start, especially on weekends, like 10 o'clock. It's like, all right, let me get up, get my breakfast, and then like by the time 11 o'clock rolls around, I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? That'd be perfect.
Yeah, this one is during the week, so we're gonna have to be sneaking during work hours to watch this. 3 hours or 3 p.m. So,
anything else from the flagship store? Or are we heading over to the bodega?
Nah, I'm good. Let's head over.
Bodega themed week, NXT Roadblock, and this was a great show. This was also at Madison Square Garden, the theater, so they're kind of smaller venue. And this was a hell of a card. Highlighted by us that we both said was the main thing that happened, the biggest thing that happened, his double champ, Stephanie Vaquer, after defeating Guilia in a champion versus champion title for title match.
That's wild.
And what you also called out, a clean win. It was a clean match. No shenanigans, no nothing. They did a clean match, and Stephanie Vaquer came out victorious. Was once the challenger coming in to effectively because she was a North American Women's Champion. We won that like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. We saw that at Vengeance Day.
Yeah.
Now is NXT Women's Champion. What say you?
Champ. Only the first woman in NXT to do that. The first one since Becky Lynch to do that, and obviously that's Mania. First person in NXT to do that since Keith Lee. Keith Lee at his peak when he was North American, he finally beat Adam Cole.
Mhm.
And I'd say it gave me, those champ is like the only. It sucks just because like I would say this one is the lowest on that scale, just because we've had the least amount of story with her. You know what I'm saying? The least amount of like attachment to Stephanie and Julia because they are still like basically brand new.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was surprising more than anything that I was just like, holy shit. And it kind of, when I say confuses me, because it's like, after the match, we find out that like Julia actually is, I guess she's dealing with injury and she's going to need time off.
I didn't know that, but yeah,
then it makes sense.
Yeah,
it makes sense. So it's like, oh, okay, cool. But of course, that's why I would be surprised because I was like, I wouldn't have this. So they must have known she needed this time off ever since Julia gave that promo and was like, let's find out, who actually is the best champion. And that was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So
I thought this was going to end in a DQ.
Yeah, no, for real. Because we both said that it was like, yo, there's no way that this is like ending clean. And we're trying to be like, who would be the heel to come and fuck this up?
Yeah.
But
I was like, it can't be Jordan Grace because she just had a match earlier in the night. Yeah.
And she's face, but she would be the one that I would book for that because she's the juggernaut. You know what I'm saying? Somebody she could come in and fuck them up after that. So that would be a big spot. But yeah, holy shit. She hit her with 3 SVBs. And when you ever hit the third of like your finisher, that's supposed to be that's the definitive 1, 2, 3 for sure. And yeah, that third hand went down. I was like, oh shit, the Dark Angel. Champ. Okay.
Yeah.
I like to see what her double reign looks like. How long you think she holds them? Holds them both specifically.
So are they gonna like make her defend it like Roman defended his titles, where it's like you're fighting for both, or are you like because if you're a challenger, why would you not challenge?
I hear you. I think the thought is because the difference is that Roman is on the main roster, right? And he was universal heavyweight champion. Like at that point, you're just heavyweight division. So, like supposedly that's just across the entire all of WWE. So at that point, that makes sense because all the guys that are in heavyweight division would be going for both of those titles regardless. However, we do have not size defined like cruiserweight, but we do have a division sort of defining line of NXT championship contention versus North American championship contention. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only through line that I would have there. But I don't know. I'm just intrigued. Yeah. Either way, I would think that because the NXT is the more prestigious. So anybody who's challenging her, I would just want that. Unless Steph is like, hey, I'm the fucking badass here. You work your way up. Like, how about you beat me in a North American eliminator match first? Because that's really what Stephanie has to do now. She has to go on a tear. Like I could see this gimmick of her just going on eliminator matches, which in the indies, is just you beat me now, you get a title match later on. Which of course you're never gonna fucking beat them. Athena she basically built her forever championship reign in ROH off of the eliminator, off the eliminator match. Yeah, you're coming here for a week from Japan? All right, come over here so I can beat your ass and you'll never challenge me for the title again. Get to the back of the line. And she could go on a run with that. So I don't know. But it'll be interesting. I think
a way of just relinquishing the title and then putting it up for a tournament.
I mean, yeah, I can see that just tournament wise. That's probably the correct answer.
Because I'm like, do you want all the storylines running through her?
Well, no, it's just inconvenience, obviously. This is only done due to actual injury. So it's like Stephanie will trade up and then like you said, she'll hand it over.
I'd rather not have another tournament for it because like the title is brand new and this would be its third champion or fourth champion.
Fourth, yeah. Fallon Henley had it
fourth. If you put it into a tournament, it would be its fourth champion. But basically, the second champion to win it off a tournament, that's not the inaugural, or that is including the inaugural. So it's like it's unfortunate, but I think that might be the best way to go about it.
Yeah, that's just the inconvenience of real life. Get well, Julia. That's what we should end that on. We also agreed on or actually, well, yeah, Javon Evans. Yeah, I finally getting his lick back in the New York street fight. Boy, it took that
Crazy
nigga long enough, yo.
Crazy spots.
Took him long enough, yo.
But hopefully this is the end. Even though, like, I think I hope there is like a continued rivalry with these guys, because I think they're both really good when they engage with each other, both in the ring and on the mic. Though I do think a good breather between these guys would be well warranted. But this was a great match. Javon Evans continues to show out and impress. The spot where he like jumped over the top rope and hit the cutter through the table.
Oh yeah,
that was sick.
He's probably the only person that I can think of that like really. Obviously, the RKO is synonymous with Randy, but as far as like, it's not an RKO. These are cutters that he's doing because he's not Randy Orton. But if anybody else owns the cutter, dog, I'm honestly thinking like professional wrestling right now. You got anybody above Javon Evans? I think that's his. I mean, that is his finisher.
I will say that I think I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, like, so they just announced Backlash this year will be in St. Louis. The last time last time Randy Orton was in St. Louis for, well, at least TV wise, was him facing Javon Evans in St. Louis.
Yeah, I'm bringing up that old thought from then, because it's like, I guess that basically was the match for.
I mean, but I'm saying like
/cutter.
If Randy had the athletic ability, like Randy was athletic when he was a guy, but like if he had the athletic ability of Javon Evans, you would think he wouldn't be hit. He'd be thinking about like Fantasy Factory, like we talked about when they were even planning for that match. It was like Randy told Javon to come over to the Randy Orton Fantasy Factory, and we'll just be trying out these wild ass RKOs.
Yeah, exactly.
This is Mr. Miyagi to his Danielson.
Yeah.
And so,
exactly. So
do not be surprised to see Javon Evans at Backlash with Randy Orton.
Dang. So that's the. Yeah, I guess I'm bringing up an old thought because, like I said, I'm just delayed, like 2 months late, where I'm thinking about like, oh yeah, he really owns the cutter. You know what I'm saying? Besides Randy, but yeah.
And then the cutter that he did to him to end the match on the steel chair, that was dope too.
That was. I was gonna say, do you think, obviously in kayfabe, this is hopefully the end of their rivalry for now, but do you think this win makes up for the ass whooping that we saw, in person, like during Black History Month? Are you satisfied with Javon going 1-2 against Ethan Page? In your heart, not in case.
This ass whooping, I felt like this ass whooping was a lot more severe than what we saw on Judgment Day.
Okay. All right. I mean, granted, he also didn't have he was still like mouth wired shut in storyline when that happened at Judgment Day, where now he's just wearing a mouth guard. So
or Vengeance Day, yeah.
Or Vengeance Day, yeah. Thank you. All right.
Obafemi protecting the NXT house.
Yeah.
By defeating Moose and retaining his NXT championship.
Undertaker giving him a bit huge look. Jeez, like this.
Yeah.
Okay, random Taker spawning. It's like, all right, we're giving you that rub. I mean, we already know.
I get it. Taker said that he was going to be at the show. Like, I remember seeing a tweet come out last week saying he was going to be at the show because of the magnitude of it. I like the spot for him because it was like, yeah, this is, like I said, you're protecting this house. You're the NXT champion. You can't let this title go to another business, another company.
That's right. I think it's so funny. Like, I didn't know that. Like, you're giving me that he announced that he was going to be there, but him being like, oh, it's a big deal. Hearing that, I'm like, do you believe Undertaker watched a second of TNA wrestling ever in his life? I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Like, defend this house. Like, I was like, I'm pretty sure it's whatever. That's just a commentary on Taker, but like, it's a spot. Give him the look. I mean, he didn't need to be there.
For someone to tell you that, for someone to tell you that, like, especially Undertaker with his history, you know what it means. You can't be losing our title to another person in the company, and like having that title go to another company. That'd be wild, especially the top prize on the brand. So
I mean, I understand that. Obviously, I'm just saying we know Oba didn't need that. Oba was winning regardless. He didn't need to defend this yard. But it's like I said, it was just a look, like telling us that he's big deal. And it's like, nah, dog, we get it. Like we didn't need that. But yeah, did not believe Moose was gonna leave with the NXT Championship. The fall from grace is great. You know, his pop-up kneeling power bomb, putting it away. Oba ate some big boots though. He ate the big boot from Oba. So I'm glad that it was a competitive match, even though it was foregone, basically. The last thing is just directly after that match, we get that mysterious mob. I got this in Shake.
Yeah, it's funny. I had a random thought. I'm like, man, I felt like we haven't seen them since the last time we saw them, which was at Vengeance Day. And I was like, what's up with those dudes? Where they been at? And then all of a sudden, here they come back, and it's just like, oh, okay. Y'all still doing the same shit. Pay-per-views. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's Shake until otherwise.
Yeah.
I got nothing else to add.
I feel like because we're gonna get another pay-per-view. I mean, the Mania one, maybe they reveal at Mania. Because we're only, a few weeks away from there. Like, finally take their mask off, name themselves, maybe, or something. I don't know.
Just give us a promo vignette. Say something. Like, what are we doing? Just say something. So, again, until they say something and then actually progress, it would be Shake until otherwise, in my opinion. Anything else from Bodega?
No.
I had actually one more thought.
Jordan, I was gonna say we didn't put it on here, but Jordan Grace did beat Roxanne Perez. Yeah. And the Hardys were able to defend themselves. They defended themselves from Fraxium. Cool to see a Swanton bomb in 2025. Perfectly taken. So that was the end of that card.
The venue for NXT, I don't know if you saw a picture of it, but basically, it's literally a theater, and so there is no backside of like stadium seating. There's only just like a regular kind of like, stage theater.
Yeah, I understand. Like a play, which
was really nice. But I bring that up because I could see NXT or maybe even a Monday Night Raw or a SmackDown show being taken place from the Sphere. And
was that the clip was that the Sphere that we saw in the clip from what was our last pay-per-view? I remember on the main roster, WWE, forgive me, Elimination Chamber. There was a spot, the spot when Jade runs in, they cut away after the match and they're showing that spot. And I guess maybe it was the Sphere, but it was like a virtual like projection, so to speak, in a like theater setting. And they were like, it looked like they were basically sitting ringside based on, the
Oh no, that's like a restaurant thing. That
was dope as shit. That was like
No, the Sphere is like an entertainment venue. We were at it. We drove past it at when we were in Vegas.
Yeah, I'm aware of it. I just didn't know if that was the same situation.
That's like a restaurant thing. They got those in a couple different places. That one's dope. We should really go check it out now. But
that was
the
dope.
Sphere is like an entertainment concert hall. It's like a concert hall, and so but the seating of it is kind of very similar, where it's kind of all facing in one direction, and it's all like all the seats kind of get inclined, and you're kind of encaved, and like there's this huge inside. There's this like huge kind of video projection kind of thing. But it'd be really dope to see a WWE show there, possibly in the near future.
Yeah, we should check that out. Like maybe like do Mania at one of those like.
It'd be too small for Mania. Oh yeah. No, actually watching Mania. Yeah,
just watching it, not going to the Sphere. Definitely too small for Mania. We're talking about stadiums for Mania.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. That's all I got. How about AEW, the coffee shop?
Coffee shop. Bet you take it.
Yeah, the best thing on this card to me, you got this in mid. I put this at primo, but just the push for Megan Bayne in this episode. Toni Storm giving her celebration speech after defeating Mariah May and like, what's next for me. I did not expect an attack so quickly, directly after she just won the title. I thought maybe, we give her this breast, she celebrates, give this speech. But Megan Bayne, the Megasis, which is a great fucking gimmick name. Like I said, very Glamazon-esque, even in her presentation. Just comes out and clobbers Tony at the top of the ramp. And not just that, but later in the night also interferes with Willow and Chris Statlander and puts them both down too and stands big. So I was like, oh shit, we really she's casting a wide net as far as like enemies, and she hasn't said a damn thing. Even the after the show, post-match interview thing when they're seeing them in the tunnels and stuff, I'm like, okay, what does she have to say? The interviewer is like, Megan, can I get, comment from you? Why you attacked Tony and why, you did all the stuff you did? She literally doesn't say anything. You just take a look at her back. She stops and then she just keeps walking. Actions speak louder than words.
Yeah,
obviously. So I'm just like, dang. I'm intrigued in Megan Bayne. They pushed her into the main event scene like right now. So I was like, okay. I think I was gonna have her go up against. I think it's better for her to go up against Tony rather than Mercedes. I mean, both of them are smaller, but you could see it. As far as weight division, it's like she clearly has the advantage. You know what I'm saying, in either situation. But Mercedes is a more nimble, smaller woman. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where it's like maybe not Kairi Sane small. Unlock the whole move set, but she's in that ballpark. So I just thought they did a great job with Megan Bayne and her look this episode. So she's my primo.
No disagreeing on that. I was mostly on the Tony Storm segment, but I don't blame you for encompassing all of it. I had to only admit just because again it's just a start. Like I think the promo itself with Tony, she's great. Like her cadence and the way she speaks and everything is just A1 top tier. Like it's one of the ones that genuinely feels like a character, on AEW rather than just being like a lot of AEW wrestlers just feel like independent wrestlers, which no offense to it, but again, like sometimes you're just missing the character and it's just like, I like the wrestler, but there's not much character here.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
A lot of them are just that too. You know what I'm saying? There's no doubt that they lean into the indie wrestling aspect of it. That's why you get like appearances like Pineapple Pete and stuff like that, that will come up randomly because his gimmick is so over in like, CZW or MLW that it's just like, hey, we'll get this guy for like 2 weeks. But
yeah, I was caught off guard like you of Megan Bayne coming out and attacking Tony. I thought it was just like, okay, end of segment, cool, let's move on and everything. So for her to come out and attack her, I was like, oh, okay, that seemed pretty quick. Okay, I guess we need to find out who is Tony's next opponent going to be because it seems like Mariah May is not going to be around at least for a month or two, depending on what's going on with that storyline and now if we're continuing that further along. But no, yeah. Again, like I'm just like I have it mid rising just for the fact like I'm curious to see where it heads out, but I have no disagreeing about saying like her impact on the show and the push that she got was nice. It was nice during this week. So
yeah, and not for nothing, like her she's been using the F5 like since she's came up and even in indies. She hasn't named it. I think it's just one of those things like we all know that it's a F5. I mean, you could call it whatever you want, but her getting that off on Chris and Willow at the end of the night, I was like, shit. Like she didn't hit Willow with it, but she hit Chris with it. But I'm like, hey, she's a powerhouse, so the sky is up from here. You take point on MVP. This segment you enjoyed.
I really enjoyed this one. Again, I have this mid-rising just because to see where we kind of go from here with this. I don't know if this is just a breadcrumb that we'll just have to put in our back pocket and, remember 3 months from now, or if this is something that's going to be moving along in the near future. But I like the fact that, when MVP comes out and he meets MJF in the ring, like you think there might be some hostility between them, and they're like, nah, we all boys and stuff like that. Like they hug it out and stuff like that, and they're all good and everything. So I like that. And then the whole conversation, MVP giving up his business card to MJF for declining, and then MVP saying that like you used to be a champion. I can help you get you back there. This, that, and the third. We've talked about having Swerve and MJF having that rivalry when Swerve, I think, was a champion and MJF was leaving. I forget what was the dynamics at the time. That was a few years ago, but it just brings a lot of intrigue. And, you know, again, do you want MJF worrying about Hangman, or do you want him to go after a title? And so I'm just intrigued by what's going to happen with this. And where does Bobby fit in this? Because, again, I said, Bobby, why are you coming here if you're not coming for the title? You happen to be a tag team? You could have been a tag team in WWE.
Granted, and that's
you could have been a tag team anywhere in the world, but you want to be a tag team in AEW. Nah,
true. But that's what we want as fans, right? I mean, in kayfabe, he has never said that. Like, the character has always been, hey, we're here to make money and hurt people. You know what I'm saying? Even having that sit down with Renee Paquette, like, you know, 2 months ago and explaining who they were. So I guess they just really want to be dominant. If I had to like shoot them a kayfabe, you know, bail, like obviously we want to see, like, I'd rather see Bobby there versus Moxley than Cope, but hey, that's not where he's at right now. So, but it would be intriguing just to go back to it, like you said, if we can prove that Tony Khan doesn't see color, like Triple H definitely doesn't see color, you know what I'm saying, and have MJF walking around with the Hurt Syndicate, like I'm pretty sure we would both be very interested in that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people would be very interested in
Owen Hart
MJF and the Hurt Syndicate.
It would be Owen Hart and the Nation of Domination.
Yeah, basically. Fire as shit. I just wanted to tap on this. The only Reggie that I had was, I should have circled this back with the Megan Bain thing, but the whole spin out later in the night with Megan Bain standing tall actually started with a Penelope Ford versus Willow match.
Yeah.
And I get we want to be safe, obviously. The good old, you know, the 2-hit combo with the chair, which is always the to the gut, you know, the bridge of the chair to the gut.
Yeah.
They bend over and then they hit him with the back. The hit to the gut, perfectly fine. Standard. You know what I'm saying? I'll even give it an 8 out of 10. That, like, doubled over, like hitting her in the back, bro, it wasn't even audible. It literally didn't make a noise. She just set the chair on her back, but I'm not going to kill her for it, but that was Reggie on the show. To get back to what we were talking about, I could also see MJF also just being a bastard and trying to manipulate Hurt Syndicate or MVP in a certain sense. I think MVP would be too smart for that, but that's an interesting storyline. Just like the clash of like those personalities. I think that's why we felt the tension when MVP even came down to the ring with MJF. Is because like we know that these characters are fully brash personalities, and they stood apart from each other to give us that tension. So that would be interesting if they actually dove into that. But we'll see. Like you said, maybe it's like 3 months from now. Like a favor. That's like we've been waiting for that CM Punk and Heyman favor for like since Survivor Series. So
I bet you that favor doesn't come into play until next year.
Yeah, that's wild. There you go. My other mid that I had, I thought it was an interesting thought. Billy Starks from Ring of Honor, basically the apprentice to Athena, in case you didn't know who she was, is the one to challenge Mercedes next for the TBS title, which obviously she is punching way above her weight class. But I'm just like, it's cool to see Billy Starks there because Athena has been like, it's so hard to find like Ring of Honor clips because, you know, you can't get around, you know, just finding clips like on YouTube, but they're on Triller TV and stuff. But Athena, the forever champion, has basically, you know, she is the queen of the miniondom, and Billy Starks is minion number 472,357 and 3/4 or something like that. She just comes up with a different number every time. And really her story has been her trying to prove to Athena that she should still be her apprentice, basically. And basically prove that she belongs. Kind of like the whole Gunther and Imperium thing when he made Ludwig Kaiser beat the shit out of Giovanni. Remember that? And they broke up Imperium. That's how it kind of feels to me. So she's like pushing her towards her goals. Like, but even Athena, she's being heelish towards her, but it's the big sis, like, you know, hard love kind of thing. It's just sad that we're gonna see, Billy Starks get killed, because that's exactly what's gonna happen. But I was like, hey, take your shot. You don't get the shot all the time, so give it your best shot. So I was surprised to see Billy Starks out there. Did you have any impression for her, like during that segment when they had the interview backstage with Renee?
I do not recall that segment, so that's why I was kind of cautious. So I would need to rewatch it just to be fresh on it. So no comment from me, but I'll believe you.
Yeah, it's as standard as you would think, like Billy putting over Mercedes. And finally, I feel like, Mercedes being in full stride in AEW as Mercedes and basically being Ric Flair and like a full character of like, hey, I'm just like, her character is like, obviously I'm a dope ass wrestler, but it's also like, you can't beat me. That's just a classic, Ric Flair heel. I think that's a good enough character, honestly, because she can still go on the mic and obviously she's a beast in the ring. So, yeah, I think that was my last thought about that. But the last thing I wanted to get to was my shake was the debut of Speedball Mike Bailey. He was over in TNA and getting his win over the Beast Morto. So I look forward to seeing more from him. He is a dynamite kid kind of gimmick, all of the karate and kung fu, where it's not overdone, because it's like he incorporates it into his offense, but it's not like, it doesn't feel super I guess produced, you know what I'm saying, where you're just staging people up for like the spots and stuff. He's able to like blend it in with his actual wrestling offense where it feels appropriate, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing his finisher. His finisher is I don't know what the name of it is, but it's actually a shooting star knee drop, or a shooting star like Meteora, basically. And he did the baby version of it in this match where he just did the standing backflip to the knees. And I'm like, oh shit, I was like, is Beast Morto going to take this? He should be the one. But good match. Puts an end to him with like a spinning roundhouse that was actually very accurate. And I was like, yeah, that would knock somebody out. That's why I was legit. Like, that was like an Olympic level kick to the face that he gave Beast Morto. So
I'm intrigued by this as well. I know the Masked Man show, David Shoes, was that's his guy. So he was really hyped to see him on AEW make his debut. I saw him come out when I was watching this, and I was like, who is this Street Fighter character? He looked like a video game character.
Yeah. With the headband, everything, like
even the jawline and everything, just like everything about him looked like a video game Street Fighter character. So, intrigued, and I'm curious to see what comes out of it for him. Beast Mortos, is he just kind of, I'm not gonna say jobber, but is he kind of like the natty of the at this point where it's like, I'm here to make you look good? Because I'm like, come on now, like, dude's nice.
No, he's an absolute beast for sure. I think it would be a better look if he could get like like Ring of Honor TV champion, something like that. Because he's not going to win the Pure Championship. Lee Moriarty is putting on a clinic right now still as the Ring of Honor Pure Championship. But I think TV champ, he could definitely do. I forget who TV champ is right now. But Chris Jericho is Ring of Honor World Champ. So
I feel like he's always taking L's, though. That's all I'm saying.
He is. He's the base god. Like, he's just, probably the safest pair of hands, just like Natty,
Anything else from the coffee shop? No,
that's all I got.
All right. Let's take a little pause. I guess not a pause, but let's stop over and get over to some Book of Wrestling. Got some 3. They are Moody. You've been taking charge on putting these in, so I'll let you say the first one.
All right. The first one that I will do. I did find the clip of this. I meant to play it or put it in here earlier, but it's fine. In March 13th, 1996, the debut of Stone Cold gimmick, on the not independent scene, but on taping, and Mark Henry. Steve Austin debuted his new Stone Cold gimmick at the WWF Raw tapings in San Antonio, Texas, in a double count-out draw with Savio Vega. A rematch between the two would take place at WrestleMania 12 a few weeks later. Mark Henry also made his first WWF appearance as he press slammed Jerry the King Lawler, and that clip actually is on YouTube, and it's funny as hell because it's like, man, it's crazy seeing like young Mark, you know, versus like, I mean, where we all know, I mean, where it's just a reminder, like, God damn, we're old. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But him actually being like fresh, being the world's strongest man, like he's actually reigning world's strongest man at that point in time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, Jesus Christ, like you talk about scary. Like you replay his career 10 times. I think this is like the one that actually finished is probably like second to last. You know what I'm saying? Like he should have been a multi-time like heavyweight champion. He was like one time ECW, one time heavyweight. He should have had at least 4 in there. Just straight up like, and that's a Vince guy. That's a big, strong power. Like, come on. You can't move him. But yeah, that's the
crazy.
first entry.
It's crazy. And then the Stone Cold aspect of it. I mean, his first few months when he got there, he was the $1 million champ for Ted DiBiase. I don't even believe he really even said anything. I think Ted DiBiase was doing most of the talking, and then eventually, Stone Cold started talking, and then it took him a while, but yeah, eventually it got there. It got over, obviously, and he became the top guy,
the face of a generation.
In history. So.
Yeah, the face of a decade, like low key, like high key, like the face of the 90s. You know, the 90s was all about anti-establishment stuff, and you know, Nirvana was out, like all that type of era, like fuck the police, fuck my boss. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That was I was about to say John Cena, but that was Stone Cold.
Definitely not John Cena
now. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll take the second one. 313, March 13, 2004, Revival of the Modern Hall of Fame. I just picked this one, so I don't even know what this is. WWE held the first Hall of Fame ceremony since 1996 at the Hilton Hotel in New York City the night before WrestleMania 20. The induction class included Bobby Heenan, Jesse Ventura, Big John Studd, Don Morocco, Harley Race, Tito Santana, Superstar Billy Graham, the Junkyard Dog, Sergeant Slaughter, Greg Valentine, Pete Rose, and who was the first celebrity ever inducted. That's funny. Like looking back at this, because I remember WrestleMania 20 and just like looking at the Hall of Fame class, I'm like, okay, it makes sense for his time, but I'm like, man, those are like old names.
Right.
Really, I guess like they're old now, especially, but I'm like, man, there's nobody like again, it's all 20 years hindsight. So again, at the time, this all makes sense. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. They had to be put in the Hall of Fame at some point. But to say that, like, yeah, Bobby Heenan, Junkyard Dog, Sergeant Slaughter, they're all going into the Hall of Fame. Like, what?
They're just now going. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why, like I said, we're washed. That's all that the Book of Wrestling is. This might be we're washed book.
Eventually. We're not quite there yet. If we do this for a few more years, then we'll definitely be in the... Yeah, I remember that when this happened.
And our last entrant this week, also our most recent, March 10th, 2014, the Yes Movement in full force. On WWE Raw, the famous Occupy Raw segment took place. Daniel Bryan took over the program by filling the ring with genuine fans from the crowd, sporting his shirt and chanting, yes, 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 as we love to say. He refused to empty the ring and let the show carry on until the Authority agreed to grant him a match with Triple H at WrestleMania 30, with the winner being added to the Randy Orton versus Batista undisputed match, which we know how that went. Daniel Bryan, the Yes Movement, such a moment in wrestling history, and finally getting his moment at WrestleMania 30. But even this point on Raw, like this is something like you don't see at all. Like, with just having fans in the ring, like literally a crowd of fans, you never see this. So that's why I'm stuck out.
Who said the fans can't control the booking?
Right, storming the ring is crazy. Like it's college basketball.
But it happened with Daniel Bryan, and it happened with Cody.
Right,
like pretty much. Did it happen with Kofi? Was that a fan sense?
I think that's fan momentum, because I don't think we weren't clamoring for it until we saw like what happened with the Gauntlet match. So I think after the Gauntlet match was like, oh shit, because that was supposed to be Mustafa, but Mustafa definitely went. Well, I'm saying, but the gauntlet match that he went through to get there, that was supposed to be Mustafa in that match, but he was hurt.
Okay.
And Kofi went there, and obviously he won the chamber, and won later on. So, but I wouldn't have Mustafa beating Daniel Bryan back then. Like, he wouldn't have done that. So yeah, it's a swerve. That's one of the best swerves
Mustafa
ever.
could have did it.
He would have had to beat
Daniel Bryan would have definitely gave it to him. Yes, Daniel Bryan would have gave it to him.
Interesting. That's a different universe right there.
That's
Mustafa
a different universe. Like, I think that's just one of the things where, like, one of the unfortunate circumstances for Mustafa.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no disrespect to Kofi, but in a different universe where that doesn't happen, Mustafa could be a world heavyweight champion in WWE.
WWE champion. That's what he would have been.
Yeah.
The champion. That's something. But yeah, that's the book of wrestling this week.
On to the boutique, the final show of the week. SmackDown in Barcelona. It was pre-recorded. Like you, I didn't realize it until I started seeing on YouTube. It was like, hey, here's a review of SmackDown. It was like 5:00 in the afternoon. I'm like, how did y'all do this? But okay. Pretty decent show. First of it international, but this would have been an all right show if not for the outcome, specifically the outcome of the main event. And that is the Street Profits winning the tag team titles for the second time only. That's wild. When they said that, I was like, that is wild that this is only the second time the Street Profits have held the tag team titles.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought that this would happen at WrestleMania, but this happened immediately, like we said, because the way they were whooping all these other tag teams' asses for the past couple of weeks, it was like, there's no way that you put these guys in a match and they're going to lose the way that they're kicking these guys' ass. So I'm glad they pulled the trigger and they didn't mess around and have these DQs and pull, dragged it on for a few weeks. So just for that, and well-deserved, Street Profits, you guys are primo of the week for me. For SmackDown.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Best thing on the show was Street Profits, as we've been clamoring. Yeah, that is crazy. Only the second time. And I'm trying to remember if, when they were champions, was that was still the blue
Raw
and red
SmackDown
championships. Yeah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it was them that had the segment. Remember we had the segment during the draft when they got flipped for each other, whoever the tag teams were, and they just traded belts, and that same thing happened with Charlotte and Becky they were trading belts. So that's wild to think that, because I could have sworn at least back then they won at least.
It felt like they've held it many more times, right? But they said that on commentary. This is the second time they've had the tag team champions. I was like, that is criminal.
Yeah, that is criminal.
That is
After
criminal.
That out loud, you're like, that's nuts. Yeah.
Motor City Machine Guns, I feel like have held the titles more than them, haven't they?
Yeah, right. Yeah, they popped up. Or DIY got it just as much as them. And DIY basically just actually got serious as a tag team, after we got the booking of Johnny basically about to turn on Ciampa, or Ciampa about to turn on Johnny, and then it's just like, oh no, we'll just go heel together, But yeah, that's crazy.
I think they're gonna be holding it for a while, though.
Titles of them.
I think they're gonna hold these titles for a while.
That's because really, it just sets me up where in my head I'm like, I really just still want to see the Mania TLC. I'm like, do you still have that match? I think you can still have that match and just have them retain.
Yeah,
and that's what I would do. I mean, granted, they just got the titles, but clearly we are setting everything in motion. There's been so many title changes in the last 2 weeks that, once again, Road to Mania, we're getting all the everything settled. It's like how it's supposed to be into these storylines, 5 weeks out now. So it will be interesting. Hopefully these tag team turmoil continues.
And it just shows that all these other tag teams got to level their game up to get to the Street Profits level. Because I said, the way the Street Profits were coming, there was no way that they were going to lose these matches. Whenever they got a championship title match, they were not going to lose it the way that they were destroying not only DIY, but every other single tag team on here. It was absolute destruction. Like I said, we talked about it, what was it, last week when Montez did the frog splash and didn't even
Then flinch,
sell the didn't even sell the impact, and it was just like, oh, okay, y'all different.
Which is why I was like, this is how you should be doing your frog splashes from now on.
From now on, this is how you do your frog splash.
Yeah. I forget, where was it? Oh yeah, that's Bad Boys too.
Bad Boys.
That's how you do. That's how you do. Yeah. That's how you do a frog splash, Montez. I mean, that's how they won the titles tonight. The other mid that we agreed on was Gunther over Axiom in his home country of Spain, in Barcelona, Spain.
Yeah,
which I'm
singles debut on the main roster.
Yeah, and even I really like the setup because Gunther's promo, his cadence during it, he was like, "Oh, there's a kid," which Axiom's name, on the Indies and TNA is A Kid, and he just became Axiom here. So even just hearing A Kid, you heard like Barcelona went crazy. So I thought that was cool. Obviously they ride with him, I'd assume, but yeah, it's a power bomb, a lariat, and then another power bomb to put him away. I mean, he said after the match that he felt like he let his tag team down, he let his countrymen down, and all this stuff. And I'm like, you understand, like, as a face, I was trying to dig more where it's like, obviously, there's no way he's winning here. You're just giving him his look in his home country. But I'm like, you're a baby face, and I get you feel like you let people down, but it's like, at what point do you just be like, yeah, you did? Because you did lose in front of your like, I don't know why they say like they feel it's like you did. So what are you gonna do about it? You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what came to my head, but it's like, I mean, that's Gunther. It's like, what are you gonna do? Jump Gunther from behind and then like get chopped to death? Because that's exactly what would happen. But I don't know, that thought just went through my head. Like, just generally speaking, not on him, but just like when faces say that, I'm like, well, yeah, what are you gonna do about it? You know what I'm saying? So
great match, though. I mean, Gunther is not going to lose this match, but I mean, I do like the fact that Gunther's having these matches. I mean, even the Tozawa match, even though that's like, that's like level 1, right? It seems like every time he's going into these matches, like he's kind of upgrading his competition level. Not even to say like you could probably flip Otis and Axiom into probably the equal amount, but either way, like he's getting tested each week, and great look for Axiom. You never win as the face. You never win, even if you're a heel in your hometown. So, but that's the point, and the crowd is just furthermore behind him. And then Axiom, he looked great in a singles capacity as well. So, yeah, I have that as mid-rising, just for the fact that, again, Gunther is getting some good, healthy competition that is preparing him for his match against Jay.
Okay.
And is not taking it easy.
Yeah.
My other mid I have is mid-rising, kind of almost mid-stable. Randy over Mello. I feel like we've seen this match before, but I'm not going to complain. It's always going to be great. Obviously, Randy's not losing this. Mello is super acrobatic and is pretty much like, just like with Javon Evans. Like, I'm sure he's over at the Randy Orton Fantasy Factory. Just like, trying out shit and whatnot. I am wondering, it's like, is Mello just like a spectacular spot doer?
Dog, this is where I said, I'm like, I think I've said this for 2 weeks now. I'm like, a dream match for me right now, even is Carmelo Will Ospreay. That would be fucking insane. Like, yeah, because I think he is very flippy dippy, but I think that has to do with also you have to keep the belief of kayfabe going. He's a smaller guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, your offense is going to have to. You have to find your way to be impactful on the bigger guys, and I think Carmelo has a great offense for that. The constant springboard. Yeah, that's high flying, but he'll springboard into a DDT, like he did in this match. Yeah. Or when he says nothing, one of his signatures, the nothing but net, it's the top rope leg drop to the back of your neck, as you're, halved over. But thought it was a dope ass match. And just to shortly answer your question, is he just a dope spot? I would say no. He is a good wrestler, or a dope wrestler too.
I'm not saying he is that in that sense. I'm just saying the booking of him is
Oh,
Like,
okay. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay.
yeah, not no disrespect to Carmelo Hayes at all. Like, I know the guy can wrestle. I just want more for him than just like,
Yeah.
okay, Carmelo against Randy is going to leave for you to just do a springboard into a an RKO. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it doesn't bother me in one sense because it kind of fits with the character because the character is arrogant and his arrogance can lead to his demise. Fine. I'm fine with that. But I'm like, bruh, you watch tape. I hope you watch tape. Like, you know that sometimes you just setting yourself up to get caught. Like, why would you springboard knowing you're going against Roman Reigns and he's just going to spear you? Or Braun Breaker.
Yeah. Because that's his offense. Like I said, that's going to be the most effective damage he can do. He has to be in the air for it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we've seen Ray get speared out of air by Edge. That's one of Edge's best spears ever. Spearing Ray coming back for the springboard. So, I mean, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you're a smaller guy, it's just unfortunate. But but it goes to his arrogance more than anything. I think because he offered the handshake to him and he like mushes, Randy Orton. That's the definition of arrogance. Are you fucking crazy? Take the second RKO with you. You know what I'm saying? So. I really hope, like I said, I hope Trick debuts as a heel, like with him, like as reinforcements. You know what I'm saying? Because like just reunite Trick Mellow Gang on SmackDown, like that would be dope. Then we can start getting like a singles push, interference.
See, I think
from
with
Trick,
too much,
little stuff like that.
I think with the amount of crossover and upgrade and like NXT's prominence. You can't ignore that. Like they need to squash over their initial beef. Even if you got to introduce it to like the mainstream audience, there's a little bit too much history to just ignore it and just have them be like partners. Or maybe they agree back like off screen and then they acknowledge it in like a backstage segment. I don't know, but it needs to be acknowledged that like they've cleared up their issues.
You would think so, but that didn't happen with Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa when they had their blood feud over the NXT title. There's been a lot of feuds. Like even Sammy and Kevin took a while. You know what I'm saying? When the
Ciampa and a Gargano was completely different. And plus, at that time, they also got released in between that time.
I'm just saying the feud is still there. And even still, that stands on Sammy and Kevin still, because that feud happened in NXT also. It did. And it didn't it took until Kevin just beating John Cena randomly as NXT champion to be like, who the fuck is this? And
that's that's a different time period of booking.
I'm just saying, I'm just pointing that out. So hopefully so, maybe. I mean, either way, I think really the hiccup would be because there's so much crossover, like you said, with NXT. I think you would just have to like keep Trick away from NXT for like a good year, 2 years maybe, before Trick Mellow Gang would go back down there so they could be believable heels. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't play whoop that Trick in the NXT arena and not have the pop of the night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're going to have to do some work in convincing that he actually is a heel on the main roster before he would come back. But we'll see what they do. Hurry up and get to the main roster. Like, seriously. Like, Jesus, man.
Hey, I'm stand so deliver, man. We got about a month.
That's that. After Mania, hopefully. For me, let's get to the shake. The interview with Jade Cargill in the empty arena before the show. She definitively says, she knew it was Naomi. She saw her as, the world started going dark. She was delivering it way better than I was, obviously, like the story of what happened. But she was like, she gets hit upside the head, the world starts to go dark, and she sees Naomi running away. And that's how she knew it was her. Liv and Raquel just happen to be walking by. And of course, Liv is, I've come all the way back around on Liv, like where goddamn, I was just as cooked with like Judgment Day Liv and interference. Or that wasn't Judgment Day Liv, that was when she first, and just all the constant interference spot. But like as tag team champion, Liv, like she's such a bitch. She's the best bitch, like on the whole show. Like even her obnoxious ass laugh, but Liv coming and basically interrupting the interview and being like, "Hey, you owe us an apology. You're just mad because your friends betrayed you," with that ugly ass laugh she has.
Yeah.
And it just does it for me. But Jade challenges her to a match, and I'm just like, it just felt like so nothing in a sense. Like I care about it because it's Jade and Liv, but
Yeah.
that storyline's over effectively, you know, or I would think that it is. Like you just said in this interview that Liv didn't do it. You understand who Liv is. I mean, she's just being a bitch. You could just want to beat her up just because. Like you ain't gonna take the disrespect. That makes sense too. But I don't know. I just thought we were past it a little bit. Then again, we just got Jade back, so Jade has a lot of, I guess, storyline catching up to do, sort of, you know, or gravity in the road to WrestleMania. I mean, like if she is going to be on the card, like she has to catch up or gain some momentum. That's what I'm trying to say. There we go.
Yeah, it's yeah. Like I said, I think there's still more to be unpacked here, as we'll get to my champion of the week. But I think the attack on Jade, I think there's still a little bit more to be unpacked.
Sure.
I don't think we know the full story yet, and so I'm on a wait and see approach with it. Jade has been out for a while, so obviously Liv is a great work partner, and then obviously like you know she could just throw Liv around like a toy doll as well if she needs to. I'm curious to see if Liv and Raquel did have anything to do with it, but again, I'm gonna hold my thoughts until my champion of the week.
Okay. Hopefully with the regret of blowing your champion of the week, I'll just ask you this. Do you think Jade is on the WrestleMania card?
Yeah, I think there is a Jade Naomi match.
Okay. All right. I was just wondering if you think that's would be on there. Not that one specifically, but just Jade on the card somehow.
Yeah,
but
I think the match would be Jade versus
happening?
Naomi. Yeah.
Okay. Sure. My other shake that I have is officially the Green administration. We get the introduction of Alba Fire, and you know, like I said, when you got a faction, you got to have an official name, and the Green administration is just perfect. Like honestly, hearing that, like it's little tidbits and storyline, like character beats. Like I said, when we watch Josh Briggs and Inamura, you know, or Josh Briggs give Inamura a biker jacket as a tag team, and I was like, now they're officially a tag team. Their chances go up. Like getting a faction name, and I'm like, oh, that's just perfect because it's like, even in the political side of it, we know we have like real world red versus blue, and we also got the minor green. So that really came to my head. So the Green administration, her just being this constant Karen, now have Alba Fire on her team. I forget what her title is, but she did give her a title, you know, like she's director of something, and you know, Piper Niven is director of something also. I'll look back at that segment, but immediately I was just like, do I want this to last until SummerSlam? That was a knee-jerk reaction. I was like, do I want? And I was like, I need this to have some legs. And I'm like, once again, you know, you add people to it, you add the interference spots, you add the climbing up the mountain. You know what I'm saying? That's how you stretch feuds out for months at a time, or pay-per-view cycles at a turn.
It works even if she loses the title, because then what is she gonna do? She's gonna get back on the campaign trail. She's gonna run and try to get a second term as U.S. champion.
She's basically halfway. Like it's so far. She's like a comedy Mustafa, because like Mustafa, that's
comedy
exactly what
Donald
Mustafa's
Trump. Even though Donald Trump is comedy, but like terrifying comedy, she's basically like Donald Trump.
Yeah. But yeah, that political
which is hilarious coming from a Canadian.
Yeah, it makes her immune. Basically, I don't know what Canadian politics, but they're red versus blue or whatever. But she's green, and I love it. And all right, I mean, Mania's only 4 months. I mean, not Mania. SummerSlam is only 4 months past Mania, so now we'll give her a long reign. But hey, that's a first reign. You know what I'm saying? We don't know how long Lyra's going to have it. People are booking Becky to come back. You know, Irish and Irish action, and her to be the second, you know, Intercontinental. So maybe she just gets this Kaylani run. You know, like a nice long 8 months with this. That would be great. Because I don't know if she'll have another.
She needs to be on the campaign trail, and I can see a bunch of promos and vignettes of Chelsea with like her fake like campaign ads,
Yeah.
like going against Michin.
Mm-hmm. Or
It's
like even just the stuff like when I sent you like the link and it was like from the office of your prettiest first inaugural, her whole introduction, like it was like official, like political, like paper, like signed your US champion. I was like, okay, just lean into all the politic things. Like you said, be on the campaign. When she loses it, just be like, have segments of her like strategizing with her cabinet with like Alba Fire and Piper Niven in a conference room or something. Yeah, that's great.
At a spa.
Yeah, there you go.
You did mention there was two teaser trailers. One of them was for what we assume is Ray Phoenix, which is interesting because Penta's on Raw, Ray Phoenix on SmackDown. They're brothers. I assume, right? They're brothers, right?
Yes, they are legitimate. They're not kayfabe. They're legit brothers. Yeah.
Different shows, but it just calling that out there. They're different shows. Doesn't mean they have to be on the same show, but they're not putting them in a tag team.
Thank God.
That's the interesting part.
That's what I said. I was like, I don't want to see them as a tag. I mean, I do eventually, but like once again, like we don't. Once they come together as a tag team, it's hard to see them not together like that. So that's why they need these like initial runs individually.
They'll come together when each of them have the Intercontinental and the US title.
Yeah, there you go. Hopefully something like that.
And then the other one we saw was a black trailer with the number 4, which I saw a lot of people assuming Aleister Black.
I mean, I only thought that because of the obvious release and gothic, like the gothic look of it. That's the only reason. The sort of occult, weirdly looking number of that 4 or way of that 4. Yeah. I'm with it. Hey, bring Aleister back. He miss working with his wife. I guess just being in closer proximity to her. Definitely,
it would be dope if they it'd be dope if they paired them up together in some type of gimmick, almost similar to like a counterpart to Karrion Kross and Scarlett.
Yeah. Oh, that's what. That'd be fire. Because I mean, I would say the best work that they did prior to that, I mean, together was NXT when she was Andrade's, manager, and she's given him, I forget what it's called, but her like when you're kneeling on the ground, that Hurricane Rana, but it's like a DDT Kanrana basically, because she throws your head into the mat. And I remember being like fully convinced like Andrade was still going to retain after that. But that's when I found out that they actually were married, and I'm like, oh yeah, because he took that he spiked himself like RVD for Zelina, and I was just like, what the hell? That would be dope though. I like that. Like, hey, you're already thinking what I'm thinking. Hey, lean into the power couples. You got to do it. Like, let's do this. At least the married ones. I get it if they're just dating or they're engaged. Like, you got to know it's the real thing. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't just be like, oh, we together for 2 years and then they break up. And we still want to
put you on a reality television show.
Yeah.
You're only dating on the NXT roster. Once you get to the main roster, you also got to get married at that point. Okay, that's it. Anything else from the boutique SmackDown?
Yeah, I wanted to neither one of us put it on here, but just because we can't pass an episode without mentioning Jacob Fatu. They did lose, but I gotta mention that my guy was not the one pinned. Once again, the bloodline this iteration of the bloodline continues to lose with Solo, Jacob, and Tama Tonga versus LA Knight, Braun Strowman, and Jimmy Uso. Braun gets the pin on Tama Tonga, so it's literally the least impactful out of like all combinations how this match could have went down, which is why I'm sure we both like left it off. But I guess it's a moot point. But Jacob's awesome. He gave once again those moonsaults, dog, every single time. Do you think? I mean, we have to find room for Jacob on the card at Mania, right? Is that Jacob Solo?
Yeah, I think it's Jacob Solo.
Okay, hopefully. All right, because we haven't. That's been a background, the now bloodline. It does seem like
Jacob, this does seem like Solo is letting Jacob kind of lead. It seems like now that like Jacob, now that Solo knows that like he's not the tribal chief, and like they know that none of them are the tribal chief. It's just like these are like kind of the guys that are like reshuffling to figure out like what's their next plan of attack. And I guess right now it's like, hey. Right now, Jacob got the most juice going, so Solo, I'll take a step back and let Jacob get his turn right now. That's kind of how it feels, but
yeah,
we'll see what happens. We'll see. Like I said, we got a month to see what happens between the relationship between Solo and Jacob, because it obviously seems like we've seen there have been parts where both Jacob and Tama Tonga have not been the most cordial to Solo. And so at some point they could both just look at him and just be like, all right, bro, you done.
Yeah, like you ODing, bro. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that. And the pull apart brawl was fine. You know, standard pull apart brawl from Charlotte and Tiffany. Tiffany protecting her division because Charlotte wouldn't let go of the figure 8, which the figure 8 is way better than figure 4. She should just do that every time because that's her modification on it. But I digress. Standard. I mean, Charlotte leaning into the heel more so because, you know, we got Ashley Flair when she first came out and the crowd rejected her. I'm just saying when she first came back from injury, like a month and some change ago. But I guess, do you think that match she's putting her over now? Like putting over Tiffany? Because I think like we know that Charlotte shows up and wins, and that's our problem with her. But like that would also be I don't want to say boring. It wouldn't be boring. It would be a great match. But that would be the biggest thing she could do, I think, or the biggest surprise, arguably, of the night, is if Tiffany gets put over by Charlotte. It's just a thought, because with that being said, I still don't think it's happening. What do you think would be the biggest surprise? Like,
that's not a big surprise. That's where I think it's going to go. That's I think that's the favorite of the odds right now, is for Tiffany to go over Charlotte. Yeah.
No way. We've been on this pod talking about how Tiffany doesn't have a chance. We've been saying that.
No. I said as soon as they started it.
But maybe I'm exaggerating the tonnage. But either way, when she chose her, we were like, she's winning that title at Mania. I think maybe it's shifting now, but
that's you. I've said that Tiffany is definitely going to go over Charlotte. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion, but I do think that like there's a better chance that Tiffany is going over on Charlotte than Charlotte winning right now. I wouldn't be surprised if Charlotte won, but
of course you're not surprised. She's a 14-time champion. This is the storyline that I'm like talking about right now. That obviously she is like the face of like women's
Tiffany. I think is the favorite going in.
Okay,
that's my opinion. I might be wrong, but I feel like Tiffany is the favorite going into WrestleMania to retain.
That's okay. I'm just saying, generally speaking, you know wrestling just as much as I do, and a 14-time champion Charlotte Flair versus her first reign, Tiffany. That's a bold statement. That's all I'm saying. Like that's I don't think the betting odds, if we were talking about real betting odds, would have that, you know, when she initially chose her. But this is why storylines.
I mean, if you're talking about like face of the company and somebody that you're trying to push over and who's over with the crowd, yeah, I'm gonna go with Tiffany Stratton over Asuka in the same situation.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. You said over Asuka.
Yeah, because this is what you're kind of putting in your mind, is like Asuka was probably in the same exact situation, and then she ended up losing to Charlotte. And so you play this Charlotte kind of fear-mongering card, and it's like, okay, but the situations are different. Asuka is not Tiffany Stratton in the sense that Tiffany Stratton is easily a lot more marketable to a general audience than Asuka is. No offense to Asuka, but Tiffany Stratton is over, really, we're not having to do much. Not saying she's not talented, but not saying she's not talented or nothing, but like there was just a point where like she's just getting cheered just because people just like her. And so right now you can see that she's not entirely comfortable being a face because her character is naturally heel. And so that's what I'm saying. Like at this point, I can see Tiffany retaining just for the fact that she's over.
Okay. I understand that. I was like, this is the importance of storyline, because this, you know, every week we get more and more story to change our perspective on how we think things are going to go. Obviously, we're not doing our predictions now. It's just that, yeah, that's a That's the biggest mountain to climb, literally, in the history of the women's division in WWE. Do you disagree? Charlotte is that bitch, like in kayfabe, 14-time champion. Is there really an argument?
No, like I said, yeah.
Okay,
But
okay, that's all I'm
again,
saying. That's all I'm saying. I get it. I get it. That's all I'm saying. But you're ready for the end of the week, champions of the week? Unfortunately, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I did not. I still have a champion of the week. I couldn't come up with a title, but I'll still explain it. I'll go into it. As I told you last week, like this whole Platinum Max Caster being the best wrestler in the world,
Mm-hmm.
it's not dead to me yet. Like I'm like it's just now starting to have its legs. And so of course this week he comes out and he loses again. He loses to Jay White last week. This week, who was it? Oh man, let me bring this up. Excuse me.
Shibata?
Yeah, Katsuyori Shibata.
Mm-hmm.
Shibata, I believe. But as he's like leaving the this clip was also not on Dynamite. This is the after Dynamite show, everybody's leaving, getting quotes from people, clips on YouTube. And fucking Max Caster, they catch him in the parking lot, but just so you know, topography, I think that's the word, topographically. So you have the parking lot, and there's just a hill, like a very big hill that you can see in the immediate foreground. Like there's a 10-foot fence, like a chain link fence, and just a big hill, like a ridge, right? You stop him in the parking lot, and whoever it is, she's like, hey, you say you're the best wrestler alive. You have not won since you've been the best wrestler alive. And it was really a delusion. This was going to be some type of like delusional champion of the week. I was trying to find a quote for him. But he responds that like, hey, I haven't had a fair shake this entire time, right? So I'm like, hold on. I go back and I look from when he started his best wrestler alive gimmick when he first lost to Roosh, like a month and a half ago. The same thing happens. Like the bell didn't ring in that case.
Mm-hmm.
I look at the Beast Mortos. The Beast Mortos, it's Max basically trying to get the crowd over with him. You know what I'm saying? Before he's ready. Which that's the same thing that keeps happening. That's happened with Jay White when he started doing the chant, and Jay White just pulls him into the Blade Runner. You know what I'm saying? So he's saying he has not been able to lock up, which he has, but he has not been ready. I'm like, you're really leaning on this, aren't you? Like that's the crutch of his whole character, is the fact that he hasn't had a face-up like square match in his mind. And I'm like, bro, you're delusional. And then the cherry on top, like a child running away with a tantrum, he just leaves, but he doesn't like leave off camera. He goes into the background that I just described to you. He jumps the fence, like he climbs up the chain link fence and just starts walking up the hill and over a ridge, like he's gonna, I don't know, like he's about to jump off a cliff or something. He just like walks away like that. And I just really enjoyed that segment. And I'm like, okay, this is who Platinum Max Caster is. You're the delusional king of the AEW. So I'm like, where's going to be the time where it actually is fair and he gets his W? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, that'll be his moment for this character, because I do not see a W coming. Like any.
I gave you my prediction, man. I gave you my storyline prediction. Is like, hey, let him get his record to 500. Right now, he's like at 123 and 55. I'm like, just 70 more. Like, was about 50 more losses.
Yeah,
or something like that.
No,
70 more losses, and we'll get you to 500. And then you're like, all right, bro, can you stay above 500?
Exactly. All right, that's my champion of the week, Platinum Max Caster, and his delusion specifically. That part of his brain.
My champion of the week is called the Kanan from Power. He did that shit guilty as fuck to Bianca Belair. And I don't know if you saw this, but Bianca Belair on her Twitter, TikTok, or whatever, she had posted something that said, to the ones that still think I had something to do with attacking Jade Cargill, some of the hardest ish I've ever had to go through. There was a whole post, and then she dancing to Glorilla song, middle fingers up, giving out suck it signs and everything like that. And I'm sure this is directly to people like me, but again, if you've seen Power, if you've seen this clip, I'm gonna see if I could.
Man, I'm just tired of all this shit going on with my parents. Dad didn't make bail. He wants us to come visit. Does that mean he's guilty?
I told you. I know your dad for a long time. He did that shit. He's guilty as fuck.
That's exactly what I think, Bianca. Knew you for a long time. You're guilty. You did that shit. She too smooth. She moved off the subject matter way too smooth. And it's the same thing. Naomi did the exact same thing when this first was announced.
That's exactly what
everybody on social media. Everybody on social media was coming out when Jade Cargill first got attacked. Everybody on social media was like, "It could be Naomi. It could be Naomi." And Naomi was like, "Why y'all coming at me? Why y'all coming at me? I'm gonna prove that it's not me. This, that, and the third. Blah 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 blah." Bianca's doing the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Why did Jade look at you with the side eye when she came down to walk down, when she tried to come attack you? When she attacked Naomi last week? Things ain't copacetic.
Yeah, because she suspects her still.
The thing, I don't even think she respects her. I think I'm coming for that
Jade suspects her.
Okay. I thought you said she respects her still. Okay, my bad.
No.
That's me. I think there's more to unpack. Liv is gonna be vindicated. Liv and Raquel are gonna be vindicated. Bianca and her music says, "I never needed you at all. I don't need Naomi. I don't need Jade. Let them fight amongst themselves, and I'll be on the clear because I have an alibi that I clearly couldn't be the one who did it, but easily could have got this shithole organized just so that she can get out scot-free and then be in a main event scene by herself without any issue."
All right, champion of the week is your prediction. I got you. The master.
No, I'm just saying, I don't believe you. You guilty. He did that shit. Guilty as fuck.
So she mastered it. That's what you're saying. She was behind all of it. That's what you're saying. I'm just trying to be clear. Okay.
Yes.
I'm just trying to be clear.
Naomi's taking an L for her. But Bianca has something to do with this.
That's why I said the word. That's why the word suspects is so important, because it's like that can't be confirmed that she would know Bianca had something to do with it, because she would just have told us, or she just would have beat Bianca up. You know what I'm saying? But there's clearly that eye stare, and that was also the match that we were immediately clamming, or the feud that we were clamoring for when Jade first showed up. We want to see
even the
Jade.
Promo that we gave Naomi and Bianca props for. That looked like Bianca and Naomi rehearsed that. And not like, I'm not talking about like obviously for like TV.
Yeah, a double rehearse. Yes. A rehearse. Yeah. Okay.
That looked like they rehearsed that. That looked a little too much like, So that's why I'm like, that's why she gets the Kanan. I know your father for a long time. He guilty. He did that shit. He guilty as fuck. Award for Bianca Belair. And that's it from me.
Alrighty.
Anything else from this week on wrestling?
Man, I'll tell you this. About to be record time for us, under 2-hour pod. Are we about to do this for real?
Yeah.
Like, no pop-up show.
I was hoping we get a I was like, we could finish even faster, but then you brought up the whole Charlotte discussion, and then that was an extra.
Yeah. I was like, this. I'm like, dang. Yeah, we
haven't done an under 2-hour episode in a long time. Moody, tell everybody where they can find us.
Yeah, find us on TikTok. Send us an email at thewrestlingreap@gmail.com. Blue Sky, all the social media areas. We got a Discord coming soon too. So just look everywhere. More than likely, we are there at the Wrestling Re-Up, no hyphens. And thanks for all your engagement. Come back every Saturday at 11:15, 11:30-ish. You know, we run on CPT over here, but thanks for fucking with us. And we will catch y'all next time. But
episode 37 next week.
Yep. Close to
That's
Jerome
gonna be a hard
Betts.
one. We gotta find a 37. That's gonna be a hard one. I can't think of a 37 off the top of the head.
Sean Alexander, right? Or was he 27? Sean Alexander.
He was 37. I think that's a good one.
Immediately. That's the best 37 I could think of. Seahawks.
We'll do some research. But until next time, everyone, we'll catch y'all next week. Peace.
Peace.